All right, and welcome into the Betting Pros College Football Show. Today, we take a lap around the collegiate landscape with our early picks and line movement predictions for the 13 biggest games on the slate here for week number 5. I'm your host, Seth Woolcock, and vibes are extremely high coming off a winning week in the sports betting space. And I'm joined by a guy who's seeing the field pretty well himself right now. He's drinking that Archman and juice. He's a Texas Longhorn lifer. Give it up for Scott, big time Bogman. How are we feeling today, Boggs?
Oh, so much better than last week. I mean, finished one game over 500. I will take it this week. A winning week. The Longhorns look good. Our Steelers are 3-0, Seth. Like you said, vibes are high right now. We're feeling pretty good.
Absolutely. Today's outline for the program includes a quick reaction to the movement in the rankings and the fallout from week number 4. We'll also get in an early handicap of our favorite games for the upcoming week as well. And I want to shout out everyone who makes us part of their weekly mix. Whether you're listening to us on your commute, your lunch break, or even on the commode, we appreciate it. Make sure you guys are subscribing to support the whole channel. Joey P and the boys are holding it down over on the NFL side this season. Also, we got daily juice going off each and every single day with Matt Peralta as well, so make sure you're checking that out. And before we jump in, I wanted to remind you, if you want a chance to win a signed Chicago Bears DeAndre Swift jersey for free, courtesy of your friends over at pristineauction.com, all you gotta do is subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now. Drop a comment below on any of our videos, and that's it. Make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you're turning on that ringer for notifications as well, so when new videos come up, you can make sure that you're claiming your prize. All right, looking at some of the week 4 highlights over the weekend here, Bogman. Illinois, they took down Nebraska 31-24 in overtime. They moved up to 19th in the rankings. We'll talk about them taking on Penn State here later this week. And then Michigan hands a reality check to USC 27-24, jumps to 12th in the rankings. Number 5, Tennessee continues to print money against the spread, beats the Sooners 25-15, and BYU dominates. They laid the trap like you projected here. Kansas State goes down 38-9. Now they enter this week and 23rd in the rankings. And BYU, welcome to the conversation at number 22. What was your biggest surprises, any lessons you learned here from week number 4, Bogman?
Oh, so much. I mean, I think the Michigan win was huge. And just to see them finally find some rhythm on offense.
Yeah.
And, that USC defense has improved, but they're not ready. I think that's kind of what that showed was, giving up almost 300 yards of rushing and really being able to hold Orji in check passing the ball and not to know it's coming and not be able to stop it is difficult to watch, man. That is it stinks. So USC's defense still suspect, much better than last year still. I think they probably would have given up 500 yards to Michigan last year, but better, but still not good enough to win games, obviously. So I think that was a big thing. I mean, look, I expected BYU to be competitive. I did not expect them to roll K-State. And listen, K-State looked bad against Tulane as well. Maybe they're a home team only, right? That could be it. Maybe going on the road is just not what K-State is built for. They beat a good Arizona school at home. They got OK State this week, right? So that's going to be an interesting one at home. But I think those were the big things. Miami looked dominant. Utah, didn't matter what quarterback they had. OK State couldn't do anything. And bad news for Sooners fans, of course, losing at home to Tennessee is not a good look, but I think they found their quarterback. So at least there's that for them. I mean, Ohio State wasn't challenged. Clemson looks like a different team from week 1 after putting the smackdown on NC State at home. So, I think we learned a lot this week. And, stuff is starting to become less gray and a little more black and white, which we like.
My biggest lesson learned, I think, just from a personal betting perspective, was trying not to give into the groupthink, because the groupthink, whether it was on this show or our Wednesday show or just everyone in the industry, was picking USC. So Saturday morning, I found a boost. I hopped on the money line there, and it was a terrible bet to ride out. And I just wish I would have, my heart told me to back Michigan, but I gave into the groupthink a little bit. I rode with USC, and it just didn't work out for me.
I just why was USC, especially in the first half, trying to go up the gut against Michigan? What are you doing? Yeah. You know what I mean? Play the sides. That's what Texas did. That's how, you're not going to impose your will against Michigan, and then Michigan did it on the other side and beat them down. So, yeah, good game. Both are very good schools. I mean, USC is still good. They beat a tough LSU team earlier, but just not enough to go into the big house and stop that rushing attack. And
right.
I did not like the offensive game plan. So,
right.
Michigan comes away with a big win and right back into the thick of things here.
That's why I love having this show, having our Wednesday show with Terrell as well, to get different perspectives. And I love hearing them in the comments as well. So if you guys have any comments on this week's games, make sure you let us know your thoughts. If you have any inside information, I know some of these people are diehard for one specific program, so they might have a little more insight on a specific team that we might not have. So make sure you let us know in the comments below if that is you. And let's start this week's games here in Miami, Florida, where on Friday night, the 7th-ranked Hurricanes host the Virginia Tech Hokies. Since last week's look-ahead line, Miami has now moved to a 17-point favorite. That's a 10-point swing in their favor. Probably because this Virginia Tech team, honestly, man, they just stink. Like, they lost to Rutgers at home this past week, drops them to 2-2 after already losing to Vandy as a 12-point favorite in the opener. Meanwhile, Bogman, this Miami train, it just keeps on rolling, man. Now 4-0 against the spread after beating South Florida 50-15 on the road. Number 2 in total offense, number 10 in total defense. Cam Ward, the overall running away with the Heisman favorite now, plus 350 for that award as well. In the Chris Paul era, Miami is 3-0 against VT, 2-1 against the spread. Are we letting the good times roll here? And is 17 points the best price we're going to get?
Yeah, I mean, the thing here is if you're on Vautech, then you think they're going to slow down Miami's offense. And my question is how? I mean, that's the question. They couldn't slow down Rutgers and Kyle Monagai, or however you say his name. I always screw it up. But Miami's run grade is 5th on PFF. Vautech's run defense grade is 121st in the country. They cannot stop the run. So, even if they could stop the pass, I don't know if they could stop Cam Ward. Right, that was Miami against South Florida was no sweat. I mean, South Florida covered against Bama. Bama's a good team, and Miami rolled them on the road.
I didn't bet them because of that.
Yeah, and in this game, I don't know how Virginia Tech stands a chance. They would have to finally live up to all of those preseason expectations, which at this point, all the evidence is showing us they're not that team.
Right,
they're not those guys this year. Maybe next year, I don't know, but it ain't this year. So maybe they bow up, but I'm on the Miami side here because I just don't think Virginia Tech's going to be able to slow down Miami at all, and they're pretty one-sided in the rush game, and Miami's defense is really good right now. So I don't see any way you can like Vautech here.
Is 17 points probably the best number we're going to get this week, you think, too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's not enough tickets on this game, and there are tickets trending towards the under. So,
okay.
Maybe we'll see on that. Maybe this line doesn't shift too much, but I would expect it to be big Miami after that huge performance, and after Vautech lost again at home this time to Rutgers. Rutgers might be pretty good though. Rutgers is good school.
Yes, so maybe get on early if you want to keep riding this Cam Ward train down in Miami this week. Let's shift to the noon slate on Saturday, which really only has a few standout games to me, and that includes Mike Gundy's number 20th ranked Oklahoma State Cowboys taking a trip to Manhattan, Kansas to take on the 23rd ranked Kansas State Wildcats. Both these teams are 3-1 after a tough loss in Week 4. But very still little line movement here heading into this game. Oklahoma State, they did lose to Utah 22-19 at home. Kansas State, we talked about, they got clobbered in Provo by BYU 38-9. This is kind of where the rubber meets the road for both these teams as playoff hopes are on the line this week. K-State has covered just once this season. They're 3-1 to the under. Oklahoma State has 2-2 against the spread, 2-2 on the total as well. Is there any value here, or is there a number we could see later in the week that would maybe create some value, Bogman?
I mean, I think it's a pretty coin flippy to me. And
I agree.
The number is like, even the BP system is like right on top of this number. So I don't know that there's really any value one way or the other. And just in this game, who bounces back better, right? OK State gave up a ton of rushing yards in that close win against Arkansas at home.
Right.
Obviously, to Utah here, they gave up a ton of rushing yards, and that's what K-State does, right? But is K-State going to clean up these issues that they had in BYU. You would expect them to be better at home. Like I said before, maybe they're just a home team, but 2 turnovers or 2 interceptions, a fumble, 0 for 3 on 4th down conversions, fumble and punt return touchdowns, 8 penalties. This is what lost the game for K-State. So can K-State clean up these issues at home and play better? I think I would like to be on the K-State side, but this is a stay away for me for now. You know, maybe if this shifts one way or the other, maybe if we get something on the injury report, I don't know. But right now, I'm probably going to be staying away because this line looks pretty good, and this game looks pretty evenly matched, so I don't really want too much of it as it stands right now.
Do you think there will be a lot of cash that comes in on this game?
I do. I mean, I think that there's big fans on both sides, but I can tell you right now that it's all on K-State. So right now, if it opens up towards Kansas State, then maybe, you know, because Mike Gundy's a vet, and he bounces back pretty well too. So I maybe there's going to be some value on the OK State side if this line opens up towards the Wildcats. We'll see.
He's a man. Don't you forget it, Bogman. He's a man.
I know. That was like one of the first things I thought about when I turned 40 was, oh man, I'm 40. Now I can be attacked. I don't like it.
Meanwhile, in the Big Ten, the 12th-ranked Michigan Wolverines are now 9.5-point favorites over Minnesota after beating USC 27-24 in the Big House. Alex Orji threw just 12 passes for 32 yards on Saturdays, but it didn't really matter. Khalil Mullings feels like he just is now the guy there. In Michigan as well, 17 for 159 and 2 on the ground. Like you said, it was very, very upsetting just to see, like, they're just coming straight at him every time. It wasn't like they were really even getting creative with the run looks that much outside of doing some different option plays. Meanwhile, Iowa just ran the ball all over Minnesota, 272 yards on the ground to win 31-14 last week. I was hyping up this Minnesota team a bit last week. I thought they kind of got cheated out of an early season win against UNC. Looks like wasn't as impressive as I thought it was based on UNC's performance this past weekend.
I mean, how many basketball scores have you seen that reference to? 120 points in that game. That's crazy.
I know.
Play some defense, for God's sake. What is happening over here?
Michigan has covered, though, the past 2 meetings here against Minnesota. That includes a 52-10 victory last season in Minnesota. Boggs, can you talk me out of laying the 9.5 here with the Wolverines? Because I think I'm gonna be straight up with you. I think I'm gonna. We haven't seen a ton of line movement, although we have seen it drop 3 points for some reason. They were 12.5 favorites, so now only down to 9.5 here. It feels like getting some value here. Do you agree with that?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely value here because we just saw Iowa beat up on Minnesota in Minnesota. So now you have to go to the Big House and face Iowa on steroids in Michigan, right? Like, I don't know how that's going to work out for them. I just, they look bad in the run against the UNC in that loss as well. They allowed Iowa to run for 272 yards. You know what Michigan wants to do, and I don't think they're going to be able to stop it. So, maybe they have a better plan than USC did. They're more used to dealing with a tough run game, right? Playing in the Big Ten than USC is, playing all their previous years in the Pac-12 before this year. So maybe they're a little better equipped to deal with it or have a better mindset, but it doesn't matter. I mean, Michigan's going to run right down their throat this whole game. So I just don't know how they're going to be able to stop Michigan. So, no, I would not talk you out of it. In fact, I would say probably get this number early if you want it because I expect it to open towards Michigan.
I'm thinking a 3-uniter. I'm going to be honest. I'm thinking about throwing down. Like, I'm ready to get back in bed with Michigan. I'm ready.
Yeah, that's pretty ready. I mean, I don't know if I'm that ready, but that's pretty ready.
Before we continue, I want to remind you all, if you want to be ready with us, make sure you're joining the College Football Podcast group. You can sync your picks and use the Quick Pick feature on the Betting Pros sports betting app to get a chance to win some free prizes. You can elevate your betting strategy and join the conversation today at bettingpros.com/college. All right, let's move into the late afternoon slate where the 2-2 Auburns host the 21st-ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Oklahoma is now 3-1 after losing their first SEC matchup against Tennessee 25-15 over the weekend, 1-3 against the spread, but they might have a QB controversy on their hands. Jackson Arnold was benched, and Michael Hawkins came in and had a little bit of juice. And I really liked what we saw out of him late in that game. Meanwhile, Auburn also kind of still a mess under Hugh Freeze here, 2-2 on the season. They do have losses to Arkansas and Cal while being favored this season. Just 1-3 against the spread, and also kind of have a QB controversy on their hands, Peyton Thorne and Hank Brown. So where's the edge here, Bogman? Because I just see two teams that are a bit of a mess and a bit of a disarray that I don't think I can lay any money with confidence on.
Oh man, I'm pretty confident about this game, and I'm taking the Sooners. I like, first of all, why would you not go to Hawkins over Jackson Arnold's done nothing except give you problems, and they like Hawkins, right? Mm-hmm. And they said they're going to reevaluate it. I get, maybe if they go back to Jackson Arnold, I'll have an issue with this game. But right now, I think you put Hawkins in, you let that defense do what it's going to do. And, the Auburn offenses look pathetic. Mm-hmm. They have losses at home already to Cal. And last week, this OU team is, yes, they lost to Tennessee, and yes, they have not looked great. But that defense is still extremely strong. I don't know how Auburn gets many points on the board here. That's my thing. And, I think we're going to have the ball. We're going to have the ball for Oklahoma for most of this game. I think they're going to lean on them. I think they're going to run right at them. And I think this game, even at home, and you might have Auburn looking ahead towards Georgia. Oklahoma's got the bye week coming up. So they're laying it all out there.
Business trip.
They're angry after a loss. They're on a business trip. I'm all on the Sooners here.
What do you think about the 47.5 point total? Would you maybe attack the under just because there are question marks on both sides of the ball with the quarterback situations?
Yes, but I'll tell you, as of right now, tickets and cash are towards the over.
Oh.
So maybe sit and wait and see if it opens up just a little bit. It's not like an extreme pull. This could change tomorrow. It's Monday morning as we're recording this, right? So, still most of the bets are left to come in.
Okay.
So maybe this goes one way or the other. Maybe it comes down because there are quarterback issues at both schools. And, maybe you do want to get it early, but I think Oklahoma is the team here. So I much more prefer the Sooner side than the total side here.
Okay. We have another top 25 matchup in South Bend where the 15th ranked Louisville Cardinals will take on the 16th ranked Fighting Irish. And I got to say, this Louisville team, they've impressed me, especially this past week. They beat Georgia Tech 31-19, covering the 10.5 point spread. Head coach and Louisville alum Jeff Brom looked like the exact perfect fit that they needed for this program.
Brom is so good, dude. He's a good coach. I like watching him.
And Tyler Shuck is looking really good under him, too. Like, I feel like he's a little bit of a quarterback whisperer there.
I think Tyler Shuck is closer to my age than your age. It's kind of crazy. I mean, the dude has been in college football for a while.
Yeah, he might take Brandon Whedon for one of the oldest college football quarterbacks I've seen in my lifetime. Meanwhile, though, Notre Dame 2-2 against the spread, but it's been a bit of a roller coaster this season. Riley Leonard all of a sudden looks like he's Josh Allen running the heck out of this ball, but the question marks still remain, at least for me, how efficiently he can move it through the air. These two teams played last year. Louisville won that game 33-20 as 7-point dogs. Do we see similar results this season? Notre Dame is a 5-point favorite here, but South Bend, we know how tough of a place that is to play.
And Notre Dame has looked like a different team after the loss to NIU, right? They have been pushing the competition around. And Louisville looks great, too. I mean, they grade so well in run defense, third in PFF, 18th in yards per game if we're just looking statistically. So this game is all going to come down to who wins the line of scrimmage. And it is Notre Dame the team that lost the line of scrimmage to NIU? And is that going to happen against Louisville, or are they now refocused and re-energized? So for this game right now, I'd say I'm probably on the Notre Dame side at home, but I just don't have a really good feel one way or the other. So I'm probably going to stay away from this game just because I don't know what Notre Dame team is going to show up. And I don't know that Louisville's wins have been good, but they haven't come against great opponents. Georgia Tech is fine. They're a good school, but they're not Notre Dame. So I have just some questions about Louisville. I feel like I'd rather be on the Louisville side, but right now my gut is telling me Notre Dame. So that's why I'm kind of in between on this game right now. I'll say our system shows a little bit of favor towards the Notre Dame side if
Oh.
you're interested, and 100% of the cash right now is on Notre Dame, according to all the things that I've seen. So this line may open up towards the Irish. So if that's the side you want, it's probably one that you want to get early.
Yeah, we've already had a 5-point swing earlier this week as well. So I think this is a line that will probably continue to move one way or the other. Let's move to the neutral site of Jerry World, where it's ranked again Aggies. They're back again, back inside the top 25. They're laying 4 points on the Razorbacks. And you laugh, and I honestly agree with that. Like, I don't know how this A&M team is ranked again. Like, they just beat Bowling Green by 6. They're now 1-3 against the spread, and Marcel Reed will probably get the start at quarterback here, we're hearing as well. Is backing the Hogs, who are 8th in total offense, 3-1 against the spread this season, a bad idea? Like, 4.5 does not seem like a bad number to me, but this number has already shrunk from 11.5 on the look-ahead line. So am I getting bad value if I do get invested with that 4.5, you think?
No, I mean, if you're taking Arkansas, I think that's who I would take. And A&M right now grades 107th in defensive on the defense. They have struggled in coverage against Bowling Green. Bowling Green might just be good, right? Like, I don't want to knock. They might just be a solid team.
Yeah.
I don't want to completely knock them, but I mean, Arkansas can run the ball. And I kind of like the over in this game more than anything. Arkansas is 3-1 to the over. A&M is 2-2. I know we have quarterback issues with the Aggies here, and they're at home. I think Arkansas is going to be able to run the ball, though. Well, they're not at home. I forget it's the Jerry World game, and that's why he does it, because Arkansas was his school. So, yeah, I think I'm on the Razorbacks here, but I like the over more because I just don't. I think Arkansas is going to be able to score in this game, and maybe we see better offense from A&M with a different QB. But Weigman was not listed on the injury report, I believe, so he might be up this week. So we'll see what happens with A&M and their offense. But I think A&M is going to be able to score on Arkansas, and I think Arkansas is going to be able to run. So I don't know. I like the Hogs here, but my favorite play right now is the over.
Would you wait then if you want to get invested with Arkansas? Because if we do hear that Connor's going to be ready to go, maybe this goes in favor of Texas A&M here on the movement.
Yeah, A&M has an insane fan base, right? So they're going to bet on the Aggies like they do every week. And the tickets and cash are already on the Aggies in this game, even with quarterback issues and a neutral site. So I do think it'll open up towards A&M. So if you want Arky, wait and see what this opens to.
Okay, let's go ahead and round out the afternoon games here as the 13th ranked Trojans trying to respond after their disappointing loss to Michigan. They're 14-point home favorites against Wisconsin, who is 2-1 straight up, but 0-3 against the spread this season. Braden Locke takes over at quarterback for the Badgers. Tyler Van Dyke out for the season over there. And now Wisconsin, they're coming in here. They don't have a lot of offensive identity here, but they do have a couple strong running backs, something the Trojans could not stop on Saturday. It was good to see USC finally get Zachariah Branch more involved a bit against Michigan. He had 6 for 98, but I still don't trust the front on either side of the ball here. They couldn't run at Michigan. They were giving up huge gains on the other side as well. So do you trust them here enough to lay 14, or is there a better price later in the week that might be able to get you there?
No, I think this line might open up towards USC. So I think if I want USC, I want to get them early, and that's the side I like. And it's really about the struggles of the Wisconsin offense, because I mean they've had problems scoring. 10 on Oklahoma, right? 27 on South Dakota, 28 on Wisconsin. Or on Western Michigan, in week 1. So they have not looked good moving the ball. Now they're on the backup quarterback. USC did have Michigan impose their will. Wisconsin is not Michigan. So, and Wisconsin's also traveling across the country from this game. Now, maybe you say, hey, USC is a little bit chewed up because they just faced Michigan. Wisconsin's coming off a bye. Maybe they're gassed up, had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. I understand that outset. But for me, I just don't think that there's enough on offense for Wisconsin to stick and hang around with USC. So this line is close to what I like. So I would hope it moves more towards Wisconsin. A lot like A&M, Wisconsin has an insane, crazed fan base, and they will bet on their guys. So maybe that will pull this game towards Wisconsin a little bit. But I don't know. I think this line is probably right around where it's going to stay, I think. But I like the USC side here.
Okay, let's go ahead and crack the top off. Probably the best primetime slate of the season so far. Ohio State will be laying 24.5 on the road against Michigan State. And after a week where we weren't really sure how much we can trust the Buckeyes, they showed up against Marshall, at least on the offensive side of the ball, I thought. Judkins, two touchdowns for Henderson as well. Emeka Ibuka had that long screen for the touchdown. Jeremiah Smith continues to do his thing as well. The defense, they can be a little suspect at times. That's probably why they're 2-1 against the spread this season. However, Chip Kelly, he keeps calling the plays, and I keep wanting to bet the over every time he does. For Michigan State, though, they're 14th ranked in total defense, so not a total terrible defense. Dual threat quarterback Aiden Childs has been really fun to watch. He kind of kept him in that game last week against BC, but he's a bit turnover prone,
Yeah.
Do you think he can do enough and score enough that maybe we can cash this over again, or do you think maybe we just lay the 24.5?
Let me give you the last 8 years of this game and the Ohio State margin of victory. Are you ready?
Yep.
I don't think you're ready. 35, 29, 51, 40, 24, 20, 45, and 1. Those are Ohio State margin of victory the last 8 times these teams have faced. Ohio State hasn't been challenged yet. I understand that, but Childs has 8 interceptions already this season. I just don't see how this goes well for Michigan State, even at home. Maybe is Ohio State looking ahead towards Iowa? I don't know. I don't think so. So this is a better Michigan State team than a lot of those ones that had that gigantic margin of loss. I think this is a better Ohio State team than some of those other Ohio State teams too, maybe. So I'm staying away most likely, but I would lay the points and take Ohio State here because I think they win in a walk.
Big Ten, baby. Gotta love some Big Ten football here. I'm with you here, man. As you kind of alluded to, they're 4 for 4 since 2020, covering this line here. So I'm about it. I might even hit that total as well, potentially do a little parlay here. So yeah, I like that call a lot there from our guy Bogman. Staying in the Big Ten, though, it's homecoming in Happy Valley, and we got a night game at Beaver Stadium as the 9th-ranked Nittany Lions host the 19th-ranked Fighting Illini. And for 2 years, I lived right down the road from Beaver Stadium. And if you give people from Pennsylvania 12-plus hours to pregame any event, they are going to show up rowdy, my friend. I know the fans will do their part, but I am unsure if James Franklin deserves to be a 17-point favorite here. I remember when Illinois beat them in Beaver Stadium in the 9-overtime game back in 2021 in the rain. Penn State beat up on Kent State last week. However, they knocked their starting quarterback out on the very first play. So Illinois, they're 4-0 against the spread, including that big win in Lincoln last week. Luke Altmaier was in his freaking bag, too. 4 touchdowns for the kid. Still no interceptions this season. Probably been, like, if there was a most improved player award.
Yeah. 100%.
I mean, he had 13 touchdowns all last year. He has almost that many already. So with that being said, Boggs, I ain't touching this one. Are you? And is there a number that you could see that would maybe make you want to get invested?
I mean, this is going to come down, I think, more towards Illinois. I think people are, maybe thinking about that 9-overtime game as we're going to get it mentioned for the next 20 years. Anytime Illinois and Penn State play each
they
other,
changed the rule because of it, Yeah,
right. Yeah, I mean, it's going to be talked about a lot. Is Penn State ready for Illinois? I guess is my question here. And you're the Penn State fan, so you can tell me. And I know that we don't have a lot of faith in James Franklin making the right decision late in these huge games either. But Last year they did smash Altmaier. He was 15 of 28. He had 163 yards and 4 interceptions. He has no turnovers this year. Like you said, this seems like a different person. Not even a different quarterback, like a different human being right now, the way he has played so well.
Got moxie.
And listen, going on, this team is playing with confidence. They tackle well. God, every year, Illinois just is one of the best tackling teams in the country, it feels like. And I think they're rated 7th right now in tackle grade on PFF. They're just they tackle the catch. They make it hard to move the ball, and they are not making those big mistakes on offense right now. Is that going to continue against this tough Penn State team?
Right.
This is a lot. So I think if you're on the Illinois side, probably take it now. But if you're on the Penn State side, just sit back and wait. And I think the money is going to roll in towards Illinois. I think we get this to shift a little bit more towards 14.5, something like that by the end of the week. So I think this is going to shift towards Illinois because they were on national TV. And had that big win against a tough Nebraska team on the road. So I think if you're on the Penn State side, sit and wait. If you're on the Illinois side, get it now. So that's kind of how I see this game. I'm probably on the Illinois side here because I just don't. That's too many points, man. I think this game is going to be a little bit closer. And if Altmaier is the guy that he has proven to be in the early part of this year, this is definitely going to be closer than that. It's the big mistakes that would get Illinois in trouble. And, because I think on defense they're going to be okay. I don't know that they're going to be ready to stop everything that Penn State has to throw at them, though.
Yeah. Hey, got a little Julian Fleming sighting last week. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, I'm already rolling my eyes and done with him. But, yeah, thank God they're getting him involved. So, nice to see better things happening. Nice to see Drew Allar playing so much better as well. Both these quarterbacks very improved from last season.
Absolutely.
So you like to see it. I don't know. I think my favorite bet will probably be wait and take Penn State if it does move down to below 14. But right now I'm on the Illinois side.
Okay, let's move to the biggest matchup of the 2024 season so far. Kalen DeBoer and the 4th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. They're going to be hosting Kirby Smart and the 2nd-ranked Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia is a 1.5-point favorite here. They are just 1-2 against the spread after a huge letdown of Kentucky where they just barely got out with the win. I don't know about that 4th down call by Kentucky either. So, I'm just saying.
Cowardly.
Yes, I know. I don't know how you can do that. But either way, I just don't really like Georgia as much as I did a couple weeks ago. I feel like the deep threat isn't really there after losing Ladd, after losing Brock Bowers. They're still really banged up on that defensive line as well. Bama has taken care of business so far this season. They're 2-1 against the spread, but their steepest competition was Wisconsin, who, as you kind of alluded to, they're not a great team this season. Bama is 3-1 against Georgia since 2020. That includes the SEC championship last season, where they are 5-point dogs, went on to win 27-24. I cannot wait to watch this game. I can absolutely like this is appointment television at its best in college football, but I am not obligated to make a pick on this game. So I will be sitting on the sideline. Bogman, you are obligated. So where will you be going, and where are the sharps going on this, you think, as well?
Yeah, I mean, the money is going towards Georgia right now. So
wow, really?
I mean, it's so early, dude. I mean, that could easily flip,
right?
Depending on injury reports, practice reports, whatever. So there's a lot that could go into that. This is such a coin flip game. I'm more on the Bama side here, but I'll tell you what I really like is the under. I think that both these teams defenses are playing better than their offenses right now. And I think it's early in the season. Neither offense has really found an outstanding rhythm. Specifically, Georgia going against Kentucky, who looked like a complete mess against South Carolina the week before, and Carson Beck just didn't seem to have it. Now, they both have 2 weeks to prepare for this game, but because they both have 2 weeks to prepare and are coming off that bye, I don't know that lends an edge towards either one of them. Maybe it lends an edge towards the offenses, picking it up a little bit by getting 2 weeks of practice in here. Maybe those first scripted drives are a little bit better, right? But I just think these defenses for both of these teams are overwhelming right now, and I like the under more than I like the side. I would pick Bama at home right
Agreed.
now,
Agreed.
but I don't like that, so I would rather go with the under right now.
I think my favorite thing for this game is maybe get on FanDuel, look at what the Heisman odds, because I think whether it's Beck who comes out the winner or Milroe, those Heisman odds are going to shrink for whatever quarterback wins this game. So
Sure.
I wouldn't mind throw a little something on that future, see if you can maybe even cash that out in a couple weeks. FanDuel's always super aggressive with their cash outs, so I usually try to get my futures in over there. So just kind of my thought, I'll probably get invested that way instead of laying anything on this game. Let's go ahead, though. Let's move to the Big 12, where we have the 10th ranked Utes laying 12 points on Arizona. On Saturday, Isaac Wilson did just enough to get Utah past Oklahoma State in relief of Cam Rising. Do the Big 12 favorites have enough, though, here, you think, to cover 12 points? We're not sure if Rising will be back or not. The last time we saw Arizona was 2 weeks ago in Manchester, where on Friday night they got dismantled by K-State 31-7 on the road. Noah Fafita looked extremely mortal in that game, 26 for 42, 268 yards, and just one interception. Where are you thinking?
Manhattan, by the way, not Manchester.
Oh, I apologize.
Look, in this game, Arizona couldn't hang with Kansas State's defense. How are they going to score against Utah?
Yeah.
Is my question, especially on the road. Utah is another tough environment to play in. So that is my question. Utah is not even 100% on offense, but the defense is so good. The offensive line pushed around OK State for 249 rushing yards. They put up 170 on Baylor, 221 on Utah State. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is for Utah. Isaac Wilson played decent. I was making fun of him and said, I don't trust Isaac Wilson going to OK State. And I should have, because they won. Our boy Terrell was 100% correct about this game. It did not matter who the QB was for Utah because the defense just smashed OK State. I like a lot of what Arizona does. I just don't think they're ready for Utah. I think they're going to get smashed here. Tickets and cash say this one is going to open up towards Utah. So if you want the Utes, get them now.
Arizona won this game 42-18 last year, but that doesn't seem to bother you or bettors here at Bogman. Utah did have a 5-game winning streak dating back to 2016 prior to that.
Yeah, this, what do I say every week? This is the most important week. Last year is last year. I'll look at trends, and I'll even mention them. I mentioned how, Ohio State has traditionally smashed Michigan State recently. So I'll look at them. But these teams are different from what they were last year for sure. So I really don't care if Cam Rising is playing. Maybe this is a letdown spot after a big road win against OK State. I can get that argument. I understand it, but I just don't think it's going to matter in this game. Give me Utah.
Okay, we'll round out today's program with Oregon laying 24 points on my wily UCLA Bruins, who covered last week against LSU on the road. Can we outright fade UCLA again this week, Bogman? Oregon, they looked better the last time we saw them against Oregon State. No punts in that game for Dylan Gabriel and company. But the defense has still allowed a good amount of points each and every single week they've been out there this season. Both teams are 1-2 against the spread this season. Oregon has won by a combined 21 points in the last 3 meetings against UCLA. So 24 feels like a lot to me.
It does. And listen, you were right about UCLA against LSU. I think it was probably more of your hatred of Brian Kelly than your theoretical analysis on the game here. But you were also sweating the whole fourth quarter. I feel like you were probably sweating because the first half I was like, man, UCLA actually looks okay. They could not run the ball. Do you know where they rank right now in rushing yards per game?
Outside the top 100, I'd say probably
132nd. They're 101st in run grade, 97th in run block grade.
Need Carson Steele back out there.
Yeah, they need him. He's gone. But Oregon should funnel this UCLA offense to throw, and I think that's where they make mistakes. But is the Oregon offense and is the UCLA offense good enough to hit the over here is my question, because I think this is too many points. 23.5 for an Oregon team that really hasn't looked amazing. They struggled against Boise State at home. They are coming off a bye here. I think I'm going to stay away from this game. I think I would like to take the over if we feel like we trust UCLA enough. But I think what I trust from UCLA is either they're going to score early like they did against LSU.
Yep.
LSU's defense is real bad, though. Or they're going to make so many mistakes that Oregon does the majority of the heavy lifting, right? So is this like a 42-10 game, which would cover both sides and get us to the over? I think the over is the better play than the side here, unless this number comes down towards UCLA. So I'll wait to see what this number does before I buy on it, and if the total shrinks, I will definitely go with the over here.
Okay. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's almost like the inverse of the Michigan State, Ohio State thing. Like UCLA, for whatever reason, always seems to get up against Oregon. So I don't think you can lay that many points right now. We'll see what happens later in the week. But Boggs, early on here, he's liking that total. So consider that as well. All right, and that'll do it for us today on the Betting Pros College Football Show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We'll be back later in the week with Terrell with our picks and predictions. Until then, like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel and the podcast feed. Plus, download the Betting Pros app. For Scott Bogman, I'm Seth Woolcock. Thanks for watching, y'all. Take care.